What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Bio Studios. Now, today in the studio, we're going to be working with WaterSlide decals. Now, of course, as you can see in the thumbnail, when you clicked on this video, we're using a full sheet WaterSlide print. Now, we've got two of those, so we can make an entire wrap around what? A 30-ounce skinny tumbler. So we're going to be using the 30-ounce skinny tumbler to create this project here. Now, as I said before, in this video, we're going to be using the decals that I had printed before. Now, I had pieced all of these images together. I don't own the rights to them. I don't own the rights to DC or Marvel or any of these Bombshell pinup, old-style comic book images that I have pulled from the web. I'm not selling these in any way. I'm going to create this, and it's going to go on my shelves in the background as more so of just a fun trophy piece. So as you can see, I have already got the main portion done. So we're going to go ahead and side clip here. We're going to jump into where we're creating this. But as you can see in the top left-hand corner here, this is where I'm just showcasing the actual decals themselves. We're going to use some scissors. We're going to cut the edges of those. There's all the scraps there. And then, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply these to the 30-ounce tumbler. So let's go ahead and cut screen here, and let's get into creating this awesome tumbler here. Alright, you guys, as we jump over to a voiceover here, you can see that the vibrancy of these water slides are really amazing. Now, I don't have a lot of video editing on these clips that I have here, but just be aware that these images are really great quality. And although I did put them in as a collage, they really did hold their color very well. Now, these have been clear coated and they have been trimmed down, as you saw in the previous little clips there. And I do have that 30-ounce skinny tumbler already base coated in a just kind of like a typical black spray paint. It is a gloss, and I have made this tumbler before, and I did leave the background glossy. So here we are, we got the tumbler here, and I also have me a little water tray. Now, this is lukewarm water. It doesn't have to be super hot, it doesn't have to be super cold or anything. But as you can see, I did have a little bit of scuffs on my tumbler here, and it's no big deal, nothing to stress over. As long as there's no obvious like divots in the paint, then those won't translate over to the water slide. Now, I like to use lukewarm water, as I said before, not too hot, not too cold, kind of like that Goldilocks zone. And we're going to use this to kind of saturate our water slides and then apply them to the tumbler here. Now, here's our two water slides there. One is smaller than the other just because it's a half cut. Now, as you can see, we do have quite a few old school pinup bombshells on here. We have Zatanna, we have Hawk Girl, we have Supergirl and Wonder Woman, we have Catwoman, very cool. We have different ones of Supergirl here, quite a few of those. We also have Katana, we have Canary, we have the Flash, two Batgirls here, so there's two of those, and we also have the Joker. We don't have to keep it all good girls. Let's introduce some little naughty girls in there too. Naughty or bad girls, however you want to look at that there. Now, these are great vintage style kind of like images here. Some of these are from comic books, some of them are not, but definitely amazing images nonetheless. So I do put some gloves on here. This is just my preference. I try not to get my little oily hands on everything if I can. And then the tumbler is loosely attached to the actual spinner here. Now, my water is also cooling a little bit as I'm doing this. Now, you're going to wonder yourself, why are you using a boiled deviled egg tray there? Now, you'll see, sometimes if you do water slides where you do a bunch of them, if you put them in there and you kind of leave them to settle down, sometimes they can be very difficult to get off the bottom of the container, depending on the size that they are, the shape and things like that. Now, we're using large sheets here, so if those adhere or kind of settle on the bottom of a flat container, it's kind of hard to get those up sometimes. When it has like a oval or a concave shape to the bottom of the water container here, it's easy to get your finger up and under that to swiftly and quickly get that out of the container there. When you're ready to get it out of the water, you're ready to get it out of the water. You don't need to be fighting with it to kind of to get it where you need to be. So we're going to go ahead and give this about a minute or two in total to saturate. And what I'll know is when it's able to pull up on the left-hand corner there and it slides around a little bit, you know it's near close to being ready. Now, just remember that when you do a water slide like this, it's not that the water is getting between the water slide and the backing. The backing is getting saturated, and then that permeates into the back of the actual water slide ink slide. So it has like an adhesive filament on the back of it, so that when you slide it off of the backing paper, that filament glue or an adhesive material is what dries up and it adheres it to the item that you have it put on. That's why you can make one like a dime size water slide and it will stay on like RC cars or Hot Wheels cars. It's because that no matter the size that you're using, that adhered background attaches that after it's fully dehydrated and dried up. So getting it started is probably the most difficult part here, just because you're kind of fumbling with it a little bit. Just be patient with it. Now you can lift it gently and lower it back down again as you see fit. Now just be gentle with it, depending on the amount of clear coat you put on this, the age, whether you got any kind of cracking on the clear coat depends on whether or not the image could rip. So you'll just have to figure out your fine-tuned details and your own little techniques to this. The only way that you're going to get good at applying large water slides like this, and not just like sublimation or something like that, like actual water slides, is just to practice with it. I've done quite a few large size water slides like this, so I've got quite good at it. And if you get a little bit of ripping here and there, just think about it as if it's part of the project. Make it vintage instead of just something really new and shiny. So I'm trying to pull that backing off just a little bit as we go. We're rotating it around. And just take your time. Try to make sure that the top and the bottom level line is matching up. Make sure that's not kind of pulling off in any direction. We got a little bit of a wrinkle here. We're gonna get that worked out. Don't worry, you guys. So you can see that little wrinkle right there above the yellow Bombshell comic book there. So we're gonna go ahead and probably use a little bit of water. Here in a moment, I actually break off and I look for my squeegee or my little silicone tip tool that I use to kind of like rub out some of those wrinkles. I could not find it, lo and behold. So what I'll do is I'll just saturate my glove here and we'll just rub those out with our hand here. So again, this had a really good clear coat layer, and it's been dry for a long time. When you do this, don't put these or apply them too early. Make sure that clear coat has spray paint has a long, nice duration to fully set up and dry. If you try to jump the gun even like 12 hours early or so, sometimes that clear coat's not set up properly, and when you apply it to water, if you overwork it, you can kind of rub some of that paint off, and then you start to rub some of the ink off that you applied from the inkjet printer. Here's our second piece here. I'm gonna be very careful not to apply any kind of fingerprints to the top of it. You don't want to get it wet until you're ready to apply it. You know, keep it dry. Don't let one corner get wet and then have to wait for it, because it can kind of destroy the adhesive backing of the water slide, and it probably just wouldn't apply right. So we're going to hold that down at the edges until it's ready to be fully saturated. Once it starts to saturate, you'll notice that the edges of the overall paper, so they'll stay down on their own because the backing is fully saturating. So I'm going to go hold that down. There you can see as we let go of it there, it is going to stay down now. And remember those little egg cutouts of the deviled egg container allow us to easily get our fingers up under this full sheet and pull it up here. Here you can see the corner there. I'm going to gently remove that. That's how you know it's kind of ready, because when I'm moving that, the other side of that water slide is also moving. So that means that the backing in the middle is probably saturated enough to where I can pull it off without it sticking in the middle. You want to make sure that the decal is fully saturated in all ways, even the very middle, which usually stays drier the longest because it has less contact with the outside edges. So we're going to make sure we have water on the actual tumbler here as we apply this. Now, getting it started, again, is the hardest part here. And then it'll have an overlay on the other side of the tumbler. We need to make sure that the cape of Superwoman, as well, Supergirl, whatever you want to say. There is also Gotham City down near Batgirl. We want to make sure that those letters and the tray that the Flash, the female Flash, is holding is lined up adequately. After the water slide is completely wrapped around and then overlaying on the other side, it's very difficult to move the water slide at all without ripping it, because there's so much surface contact across the entire SVG. So once you get it laid in, if there's any corrections, you need to do that at this stage now. Get it perfectly lined up, because once it starts to make contact and it kind of creates a little bit of a suction, and it's adhering to that base, it's hard to move it around there. So we're making sure that that seam is kind of pushed together. You will see the line a little bit. That's just naturally going to happen when you do 2 water slides like this, but it's completely fine. It's no big deal. If I ever get into sublimation, then I'll probably make another one of these in like a sublimation, and that will be one complete print, depending on the printer that I have, of course. So pulling that off a little bit at a time, making sure to rotate your tumbler there, and then also trying to make sure that there's no water bubbles underneath. It's kind of difficult to get those out when you work with such a large sheet of WaterSlide. So if you can do it a little bit along the way, kind of let the actual SVG, as you pull it across, squeegee itself a little bit. And you're kind of pulling that water that's underneath the WaterSlide across and out of the water. From underneath the WaterSlide. So you get a little bit of water build up underneath that lip. Make sure you push that out as much as you can. If you don't, it can cause little bubbles or air pockets. It sometimes will cause little ripples in the WaterSlide as it completely fully cures up and dries. And as you can see here at the bottom and the top, we actually got a pretty good seam line here. If you needed to, at this point, you would use a razor blade, a very sharp one, to kind of level off the top and the bottom lines so that they're completely fully level and even. But in this situation, we did not need to do that. We got a really great adhesion here, and it just so happened that I'm actually making a video on this when we got such a great contact here. It worked out so well. So right now I'm just kind of pushing outward gently. We got a great clear coat on this, so I'm not worried about it pulling up into the ink, and it is not smearing in any way. We're just going to make sure that all that water, as much as we can get out, is pushed out of the back of the WaterSlide. Trying to also pull those 2 seams together, just trying to make that as small as possible. Because I did a collage type image here, it's hard to make it to where that line is not in the middle of one of them, and it happened to fall on Batgirl, the Flash, as well as Supergirl. I think in this scenario is Superwoman. Ooh la la, looking phenomenal here. As you can see, it's still very wet there. Looks really good. Now you can still see the seam line. That's naturally going to happen. That's okay. As long as you're not like going over the top trying to be perfect all the time, then you'll be really happy with how yours turns out. All right, you guys, so here we are. We're back into the forward-facing camera here, and as you can see, we've already got this completely set up. Now, these are fully dried, and they are very smooth, very, very great quality. I didn't get any kind of tearing around the outside edges here or around the bottom. Now, at this point, I was considering doing a few things, and at this point, it's really bonus material to finish this project out here. Now, I'm thinking about applying a glitter ring around the bottom and around the top to make it look like the background is glitter. I really wanted to go ahead and use my new affiliate glitter from Twisted Glitter. I will leave their website below if you want to go check out their website. They're really getting an upstart on creating new glitter blends as well as 3D prints. So if you want something 3D printed, if you're just kind of getting into that hobby, you want some advice, you want some fun interaction with a group, make sure you check out Twisted Glitters. My code is BStudios. If you would like a discount code there as well. Now this is a pink glitter. Let's go ahead and get a side shot of what that looks like. As you can see here, this glitter is very vibrant, and I do have this in a little bit of a chunky mix as well as a fine mix. Now the fine mix is a little bit more purpley than the other one. The other one is a little bit more chunky and pink. But as you can see, they're very pink, very bright, and very purpley. I don't really want to apply those to this type of tumbler, but I look forward to using those in the future. But what kind of color would I use? I've made this tumbler for a family member before, and I left the bottom black. And it does look really good with a black base. It really helps the colors along the exterior contrast. And I've even thought about making this overall theme here in a black and white, like a newspaper black and white, maybe in the future perhaps. But it turned out really great. The colors are very popping, and I want to make sure I choose a glitter color that's going to pop in the background when I have all my lighting on, but also look kind of good. It can't look too girly, because if I do drink from this, I don't want it to look like some glam, glitzy, girly thing. I'm a dude after all. And this is really a dude cup, right? All the pinup bombshells. Looks really cool. So what we're going to do here is I think I'm going to use Disco. Here's a side shot of Disco. And as you can see, that's a very vibrant color. It's probably one of my most favorite colors in all. I like it in the fine glitter, and I think that its versatility is really there. It just really looks really good. Now this one is a glitter chimp, so I'll give credit to where credit is due. I've been using the same bottle for over a year or two or more. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put some Mod Podge gently, very tidily around the bottom base and around the top, and we're going to apply some disco to this project. It's really going to cause it to pop. Once we apply the disco, I'm going to brush it off, and what we will probably do is I'll probably seal the bottom and the top with a clear coat. It won't affect this background at all because this is already clear coated. That's why the ink doesn't pull off of the WaterSlide decal paper. So the ink stays in there and it's sealed all up. So what we'll do is we'll base coat that with a clear coat, and then at that point we will move on to epoxy. What epoxy, you may ask? I'll reiterate this again here in a little while as I do the voiceover for that portion. We were using Flynn sister epoxy. Enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into creating and finish up this project. So everything from there forward was bonus material. If you enjoyed seeing the two WaterSlide pictures come into that nice seamless line there, then that's where it is. There's the line there, as you can see. You can kind of see it a little bit there, but it's not too much of a mismatch, and it looks pretty seamless. If I'm just turning it like that, you can't really see it, right? Say yes. Okay, let's get into the rest of the content, guys. Sit back and enjoy, and I'll catch you at the very end when I kind of showcase this awesome project before I put it on my trophy shelf. All right, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump over, and we're going to actually pull out some Mod Podge here. Now, I'm going to apply this with a small filbert and some other little tiny brushes here. Any brush you have is fine, as long as you just take your time. And you want to be very deliberate. Anything that Mod Podge touches will have adhered glitter too. So you'll see that the disco color really does make the overall tumbler pop. It's even such a great looking tumbler that even as a dude, I would probably be okay carrying this to work around a bunch of other dudes, just because the actual tumbler, even though it has glitter on it, looks phenomenal. So I'll probably keep this one for myself without a doubt. It'll be on my trophy shelf, but if I ever want to pull it out and take it to work or use it, then I can definitely do so. Now, I will do probably about 2 or 3 layers of this, and every time I do this, I will go with a smaller brush. And if I need to clean up this seam line between the glitter and the top of the WaterSlide, then I will. I don't want any of that black base coat to be visible through this glitter. Because it is such a dark base coat, I just need to be very careful of that. Take my time. If I need to apply 2 or 3 layers, then I will. And I kind of show that here a little bit in some ways. But you don't have to really make sure the Mod Podge is completely smooth and level and layered when you apply that, if you intend to put more than 1 layer on. If you're going to put 1 complete layer on, then obviously you need to lay that on pretty daggum thick, and then you need to make sure that it gets full adhering of the glitter, as well as waiting for it to completely fully dry for, I would say, at least 6 or 7 hours before you use any kind of fan brush to knock any of that excess glitter off there. So I do use a fan brush to knock the glitter off there. I am very rough with it here because I don't want any of that to be really pulled down and over the actual WaterSlide when I come in with my Flynn sister epoxy there. Now, I did not get the Flynn sister epoxy application on camera for this video. I really wanted to keep this more bare bones, and I just wanted to show like the glittering process because I have made this with just the black base coat before, and it looked great, but this time I kind of wanted to just kind of show the glitter. So I do apply just an amazing clear epoxy layer to this, and it really does make everything pop and shine. I do get a little bit of glitter movement off the bottom and a little bit off the top when I do pull that epoxy from the base up towards the top of the tumbler there. But even just a little scattered glitter here and there across some of these Bombshell images just adds a little bit of just perfect accent to them. And it kind of gives it a little bit of a glamorous look to it. It looks really great. And I don't know if that glitter really shows up in the final images here in a few moments. So I just wanted to kind of explain and say that some of this glitter did get pulled up a little bit, even as aggressive as I was with the fan brush there. Now, it also looks pretty cool when it kind of cascades over the bottom of the SVG file like that. But here we are with that amazing Flynn sister epoxy layer. Now this isn't the final layer. I will put another layer on after this, just kind of like seam it all together. But as you can see, what a phenomenal tumbler. The disco ball looks great against those images there. All of the bombshells look phenomenal. And if you would like to use this epoxy, make sure you go over to Flynn's Sister Boutique. Now you can use my code B Studios. That's B as in boy, Studios, over there at Flynn Sisters. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now, although this video was really kind of about the WaterSlide full sheet application, it really turned into a great full-length content. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you later.